Hello and welcome. My name's Wolfgang Riebe. I'm your mind shift guru, and these are my quick tips. Today I'm going to be speaking about ways of coping with regret. What is regret? What are the things in life that we do regret? Well, strangely enough, the biggest regret is around romantic issues. Then of course, family, friends, career, education, money matters, business matters, they all follow suit. But let's look at the word regret first. Where does it come from? Well, it comes from a very old French word called regretter, which means to bewail the dead. And interestingly enough, if you look at this, you go back into the past. Do you know what? You can't change the past. Why worry? Why have regrets about things you cannot change? Here's a few interesting facts. The past is the past. No matter what you do, you can't do anything about it. Even if you stand on your head and sing through every orifice of your body, you ain't going to change the past. So to regret about it is actually pointless. You're defeating the purpose. You're only bringing yourself down. You are preventing yourself from changing, from moving on. This is easier said than done. It's easy for someone to stand and preach to someone, yes, don't live in the past. But how do you actually overcome regret? Here are some tips. The first thing you need to do, tip 1, is identify the regret. What is it? Is it something that you did? Is it something that you didn't do that somebody else did? Is it something that happened because of circumstances you had no control over it? The most important thing is to identify what the regret is and where it fits into your life. Did you cause it? Did you not cause it? Did it happen because of circumstances beyond your control? Once you've identified it, that's already an acknowledgement of that regret. Then you can move forward. So tip number 1 is identify the regret, exactly what it is. You now need to feel the regret. You need to stop this if only syndrome and realize that, hang on, something happened, I've got to go through the emotions. I've got to feel guilty. I've got to feel sad. I've got to feel disappointed at myself. You have to take yourself through those emotions. If you need to cry because you're sad, then you need to sit and cry. You've got to get those emotions out of your system. But you can only do it once you have identified that regret. And you've got to be honest with yourself and go, what is it that is hurting me? Why do I have this regret? What is that inner feeling that I have? If it's anger, I've got to shout at myself. I've got to get rid of that feeling. If I'm sad, I've got to cry about it. If I'm disappointed at myself, I've got to walk around calling myself a schmuck and an idiot and a whatever I want to until I come to terms with it. But you've got to let that emotion seep through you. Now, once you've done that, this is tip number 3. Then you've got to ask yourself for forgiveness. And this is extremely important. You've got to ask yourself for forgiveness first. Only once you've asked yourself for forgiveness and actually have gone through the process of forgiving yourself, are you in a state of mind and a condition to go to the other person if you caused pain or harm to someone else and to authentically ask that person for forgiveness. Because then when they do forgive you, then you will be content with the forgiveness from both sides. But if you just haphazardly don't think about it, don't go through the emotion and the pain and just do what is socially expected and just say, I'm going to just ask for forgiveness, and if he gives it to me, great. If not, whatever, it doesn't matter. You'll never get over the regret. The regret will always stay with you. That is why it's imperative that you identify it, that you work through the emotions of that regret, and then that you forgive yourself first, and then ask for forgiveness. Because then when it comes, then it's genuine. Then you will be more at peace with yourself. Hand in hand with this comes tip number 4, which is stop blaming others. Take responsibility for yourself. We live in a world where it's so easy to blame the school teacher, the vicar, the previous government, whatever, or our parents. Stop blaming others. Everything that happens in your life is because of you. You are solely responsible for yourself. If you believe anything else or anybody else told you something, they've been lying to you. I'm telling you, you are responsible for your own life. Anything that happens in your life is you. So take responsibility. Stand up and say, yes, I accept that what happened is because of me. And only once you can do that can you work through the whole system. Saying that, it also means that because you are responsible for your own life, the whole future ahead of you is your responsibility as well. So you can decide whether to make it awesome or to make it not so awesome. I go for the awesome. I go for the positive. I go for the inspirational. I go for reaching my dreams. And if I can do that, I'm not different to you. Surely you can do that as well. And hand in hand with this is tip number 5, which is the fact that we need to learn from our mistakes. How else will you grow if you don't learn? Of course, we were taught in school that mistakes and failure are bad, which is also bad conditioning from society out there. As human beings, the only way we learn is from our mistakes. As long as you don't do the same mistake twice. But the mistake you made that created that feeling of regret, what was it? Why did you feel that regret? Why did you do that caused the regret? What was the mistake you made? You see, by identifying it, by coming to terms with it, by going through the emotion, by forgiving yourself, and by accepting that you need to take responsibility, suddenly you can objectively look at this and go, hang on, but this is why it all happened. This was the mistake I made, or that I was dropped into, or that the circumstances put me into. But it's still your responsibility. This is a mistake I made. Now that you've gone through those processes, you can realize that's why the mistake happened. And once you realize that, you can look at it objectively and go, hang on, I've got to learn from that mistake. What is it that I have to learn that I do not repeat the same mistake again? And that's how you go ahead into the future. And now you look at the future and take in little steps that you don't make the same mistakes twice, and that you don't have those regrets in life. I trust that these 5 tips on coping with regrets have helped you. I look forward to seeing you in another one of my quick tips. Until then, from me, Wolfgang Riebe, cheers.